apply what they have learned to solve practical problems. However, scientific research requires students a lot of knowledge, from theory to practice and many other skills. Therefore,
can you turn on your camera, please?
Oh, sorry, sir. Therefore, the current situation of plagiarism is becoming more and more serious. At the same time, students have not received a really thorough education in academic ethics. So the sense of anti-plagiarism is very low, especially in the current situation of the COVID-19 epidemic. Many schools apply online exam measure, in which essay writing is the one of the most preferred forms. Accordingly, the situation of plagiarism is increasingly common and sophisticated with more forms. Therefore, our team chose the topic plagiarism in scientific research to give people more a comprehensive, multidimensional view and how to deal with this situation. The first one, we need to understand what is plagiarism. So plagiarism is the act of copying someone else's language or ideas and treating it as your own. In fact, plagiarism can come in many forms. Is copying word for word from essay of someone that we mean it is plagiarism? Of course, it's all plagiarism. But however, the problem is not always so blatant. In addition to public academic cheating, other more complex forms of plagiarism exist. The first form is complete plagiarism. This plagiarism is the most serious form. For example, a person A takes B's research papers and puts it under name A. This can be understood as knowledge theft and a form of intentional plagiarism. The second plagiarism is source-based. Plagiarism can happen from the source of the information you use. For example, when you're quoting the wrong author, this error mostly comes from the technical citation errors and is also more difficult to detect. Even creating data yourself, sourcifying the result is a form of plagiarism. Do-it-yourself data generation is the act of inventing your data usually to make a good impression on the results of the research paper. Direct plagiarism. This one occurs when you copy an author's text word for word without using quotations. Whether it's intentional or unintentional, you have made it yours. This case is similar to complete plagiarism. The difference is that the content refers to the parts and not all of another report. Self-plagiarism is a form of taking from others. Self-plagiarism is a form of taking from one's other research papers that have been published. The severity of this type of violation is still being debated because it depends on the copy's content. Paraphrasing plagiarism involves using someone else's work after making one's small changes to the sentences and using them as a lesson of your own. Even if the words are different, the original idea remains the same, and that can still be considered plagiarism. Inaccurate authorship can happen in two ways. The first form is when you use information from a source, but don't credit that author and source in reference. The second form is the opposite, crediting a source in reference that you don't use in your research paper. This kind of plagiarism is, no matter how it happens, is a violation of basic rules in research papers. Mosaic plagiarism. is a way of creating paragraph of stitching together multi-sources. This form can be very difficult to detect because it intersperses other people, phrase, or text in the study itself. Accidental plagiarism is a type of plagiarism in which researcher remembers the sentences or ideas of another person, but doesn't remember who that person is, and then uses those data as his own work. At glance, these forms of plagiarism are quite similar. But if we take a closer look, the small detail give a different look at the form of plagiarism. A random survey of Banking University of Ho Chi Minh City students on issue of plagiarism. After conducting the online survey, our team received the following results. According to the survey results, it's easy to see that the majority of students have plagiarized. Many people believe that taking exam in the form of essays will increase the students' plagiarism. Students' reasons for plagiarism are often referenced but forgot the source, no ideas, deadline it too close. There's a lot of information that is easily to duplicated. The form of plagiarism or of the students are buying research from another person or a website, asking someone else essay, maybe your friends, copying a piece of text word for word without closing quotation, using other people's essays in word or in part without creating the source, patching or modifying a paragraph to avoid detection, and other more. Now let's come to the cause of plagiarism. There are many causes leading to plagiarism, both subjective and objective. Culturally, the root cause of plagiarism is imposing and documented educational tradition that has not improved much to this day. With memorization, it will be difficult for people to creative. Morally, the reason for plagiarism is great, but deeper than plagiarism is a reflection of inferiority because you don't believe that you can do something valuable, don't dare to engage in difficult things, and many other reasons like not knowing what is plagiarism. This is a mistake, poor imagination and creativity, careless note-taking. Purpose of plagiarism. Plagiarism has many purposes. For the sake of learning, but poor idea, lazy to think, due to low qualification, saves time and money due to no time or insufficient funds to learn and research. Competing, making the work more attractive and lively, should use its sentences of famous authors. Prove that you are capable and knowledgeable, incompetent, and many other purposes. Consequence. Students who plagiarism once discovered will be suspended or even expelled from school. The school will record plagiarism of students on their transcripts. This is a stand that prevents students from applying to any other university in the future. In an open society like today, it's very easy for a person to do bad things to be known by others. It also means that students who have been found to be plagiarized will have a hard time to find a high-paying job with good pay and promotion later. later. In addition, plagiarism serious effects to the rights of the authors. They may have their contracts cancelled with the original partners of the author. They may stand the image of the author has been smirked, infringed, forcing them to look for another job. Specifically, he is the person who plagiarizes when prosecuted will be fined or may be imprisoned. However, the most serious consequences of plagiarism can be fatal. That's when plagiarism steals other people's brands of their own research and then push them into the practice. Because the results of those studies are not accepted as scientific correct, they can affect to the lives of others, especially in the medical field. So how to deal with those situations? We have some solutions. First, it's necessary to understand and have the right attitude towards the phenomenon of plagiarism. There's a need to acknowledge the work of others. Always acknowledge the original source of any information, such as idea, methods, concepts, and finding in previous research. The second one, when researching and using documents, it's necessary to immediately note the found documents for easy reference. It's necessary to carefully study and understand the regulations on citation of source and form habit of citing source when conducting research. Even you are not copying other people's idea or conducts, but not quoting or quoting sources probably is considered plagiarism. By citing sources, students have the opportunity to practice the habit of collecting reference information and avoid unintended plagiarism. Practice is best expressing ideas different way. Changing the way ideas are expressed in a creative and avoid plagiarism. You can practice expressing your idea in few ways. First, change your form of the sentences. Change the sentence structure. Use synonyms. In addition to preventing plagiarism, this method also helps improve language and skills. Schools need to have strict and appropriate regulations and penalties to help students visualize the seriousness of plagiarism. The following of this form is handling violations. For the group 1, for individual exercises, group exercises, subject essays are directly examined and handled by the lecturer. Reports the faculty of management to specialized
You have
internship.
One more minute.
Okay, sir. Reports graduation, the direct exam, and handled by faculty. And this for the graduation and master thesis. For doctoral topics or dissertation. How about the group 2? Scientific ethical submitted for publication of the Asian Economic Banking Journal will be examined and directly forced by the journal. Conclude through the book Through the above content, we have the partly understood and have deeper insight into plagiarism in the research. It can appear in many different forms, but the end result is always the same. Both plagiarism, who stole something from someone else, the most important thing is always consciousness of each person. Thereby, we need to have an attitude of respecting idea as appreciating the results of other people's labor, and gaining the sense of initiative to explore the create. So the effort you effect are also recognized by others. And this is the end of our presentation. Thanks for listening.
Okay. Yeah.